This is a full review of the Tesla Model X. .04 or 16'5" is the total length of the Tesla Model X. It's a little bit longer than the Tesla Model S. And of course, basically a full-set SUV, at least for European perspective. When you approach the car, by the way, it greets you with folding out the side mirrors, and when you leave the car, they go in again, and also with some illumination in the front there. Overall, it has this crossover design, this coupe sedan look in the rear, but still higher. And that will be also some kind of way of it, how it drives. I will tell you more about that later. We get the 20-inch rims here today. You can also get 22-inch here in the front. It's like there. Then the door flips out automatically. And by the way, when you just use the door handle from the inside just once and very fastly approach back, then also the door is shutting itself again right there. And same, also here, when you press in the rear part, then those ring doors are opening, and they actually also open when you are a little bit closer somewhere. Hey, when I'm approaching the rear here again, also those tail lights are illuminated to welcome me back. We have your camera right there, and this one here is the version with a fixed wing. There's also one available with a foldable wing. This one here, as you see at the badge, the 100D. There's also the 75D, and meanwhile it just represents the kilowatt-hour figure of the battery, so 75 kilowatt-hours, or here 100. And there's the P100D with a performance option. Then you have even fast acceleration. This one here about 5 seconds to 100 kilometers or 62 miles an hour. And the P100 approximately 3 seconds. When you use the car key, you can, for example, click twice on the area you want to open, and then you can, for example, open the wing doors already with the key, left or right side of the key. Really fancy. I mean, and why not? And when you're approaching your vehicle and want to open those Falcon doors there for the rear passengers, that's already a very cool thing you can actually do. Seating position is rather crossover-wise, not that high SUV-ish. You can electrically control the steering wheel, also electric seat control. The seats, they're basically comfortable. I think they could improve the comfort a little bit more by the seating form if they would make it longer or offer an option that you can make them a little bit longer for taller people. Also they're, in some ways a little bit narrow, talking on a very high level. I think seating comfort-wise, from the seat form, not talking about the materials, the seat form, to me, Volvo is at the moment leading. Steering wheel, we know that also from the Model S. Here on the left side, increase the sound or lower it. On the right side, you control the small display here. Then, of course, this huge screen here, biggest in the automotive industry. Here at the moment with a perfect resolution rear view camera. You also have sensors. Then when you approach, for example, to something in the front, it shows you how much centimeters you have left. Pretty cool function then. In the lower part, then the map, and you can, of course, for example, when you press the map twice, make it bigger and have it on the full screen, and wow, satellite view. So when you can open those windows completely, it is really so easy to get inside. That is really superb. You can also close and open the windows as a passenger driver yourself here with those buttons. And this is really a spaceship-like seating position. It's actually pretty fancy. You see, I can also control it electrically. I can slide them forward, but this one is the maximum position backward. And if I'm sitting here as a tall driver, I can sit here with 4 adults, no problem, yes. But then again, they're not using the package they have, considering the car is over 5 meters or 16'5", there should be more legroom, definitely. So this is not very well used. You can, by the way, also put the seat a little bit more backward to have a more sleeping position, or you can also put it more forward like this, so you have a more upright position. But then again, there should be more room left. When they're closed, I also have this panoramic roof above me here. It's pretty cool, and this also increases the headroom massively, so there's no problem as for that, whereas the middle part then is a little bit lower, and that's also where those two single seats are using the space they have. So again, the most unique seating position for a vehicle also in the rear. And here we go then with the trunk. Let's put a cabin trolley inside. There you can see when you have the third seating row flipped down, it does work here. Again, you have this 2-2-2 setup, or so 6-seater, or a bench 5-seater, or then also bench plus those two 7-seater is the top option then for that one. But this one is, to me, somehow the coolest one we have at the moment. So you can see if you flip those up, the cabin trolley does not fit in the longitudinal way, just in a transverse way in there. Then you can also flip the last seating row up, and that you have plenty of room available here. Welcome to Thomas's driving lounge, here the driving part. And one of the most important things about this vehicle is recuperation. So you lift your foot off the throttle, and now I'm starting the the real braking process, because I really want to come to a standstill. But the car is really decelerating as soon as you lift your foot from the throttle. At the moment I'm consuming about 211 watt hours per kilometer. And that is, you can directly calculate it, this 21 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometer. That is pretty decent. So if you're really performing a lot, then it's about 25 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. And then you can calculate, okay, 25, and then 100 kilowatt hours is the battery. So 4 times 25 is 400 kilometers of range. In general, this vehicle is of course about the silent electric ride. You feel so relaxed by that, and I really just love it. And you have the instant torque. I'm also at the moment in the chill mode, so I'm having less acceleration on purpose, because this vehicle is so strong. It can really accelerate that hard. I mean, 5 seconds to 100 kilometers or 62 miles an hour with the 100D, or 3 seconds with the P, with the performance version. This is really insane for a 2.3 ton heavy SUV. So now I'm changing to the standard acceleration mode. I can show you some acceleration soon when we approach the motorway. And even if you're at higher speeds, the torque is always there. That is the big advantage of those electric drives. This is really amazing. And of course, I mean, look at this panoramic view here to the front. This is so great. It's a very, very unique driving feeling. This car really feels like no other. This is also the main characteristic of this car. So now let's do some 70 or 65 kilometer to 100. Let's go. There we go. Then again, to something negative about this car. I'm at the moment at the 100 kilometers now, or 62 miles. This is still okay, but everything that goes above that really increases the wind noise. It's also worse than in the Model S. So there's different form. Yes, it is somehow streamlined, but still, you know, you have more wind noise than in the Model S, and also have a bigger resonance room here. And this is also one of the biggest weaknesses if you compare it to German premium manufacturers, or even, you know, if you take Lexus for example. The sound insulation, that's for sure. So they haven't figured that out that well, but overall you still remain a somewhat relaxed feeling, unless you really push the throttle. And I'll do that once more here for you now. Let's go, I'm fast enough. Steering feel. Well, it is pretty direct. So you can very well park in and out. You also got a reaction basically in the small angle areas. That's fine too. I've usually set it on comfort. You can also change it in the menu to standard or sport. Then you have some more resistance. Also stability at higher speeds. That's totally fine. See the lane change here. the car is not tilting at all actually, and it's still, you know, a rather big SUV, so very stable here. And now one of the most important things for you if you plan to buy a Tesla Model X or S at someday, always go for the smallest rim size possible. We are driving the 20-inch here today. So far I've also driven the 22-inch with the Tesla Model X, and those are way rougher. So the suspension is not as good as you're used to from the premium segment at this price. And here we go with our conclusion for today with the Tesla Model X in the 100D spec. Can it match the premium manufacturers in the build quality? No. Can it match the other competitors in the ride comfort and this perfection of the ride? No. Is it actually a good price offering? No. Is it still a great car? Yes, because it has this unique design, exterior, and especially on the interior. This interior concept from 2012 from the Tesla Model S taken over here to the X, and it's still so futuristic. It still could be a concept vehicle from the other manufacturers at some motor show. And of course, I mean, if you just look at it on the inside, and here, especially with the panoramic windscreen, it is such a unique car, more unique than any other car, especially here the Model X. And yeah, it does come with some downsides. I mean, the room you have on the interior, it's not really a very good package. It's still somehow bulky on the exterior for the room it got on the inside. Still fairly comfortable. The ride comfort should be better suspension-wise, but with my 20-inch rims, smaller rims tip, you'll be better off for sure. Then it has so many great features. The wing doors, I mean, you can argue about that. They have pros and cons. It's of course a show-off basically. When you have a lot of room, then you can get in and out easier for sure. But then again, with the electronics, they have been improved very well. I like that. But of course, at some times you also think, can't it be just easier? But again, it's such a unique and polarizing feature. In the interior, you feel so much at home because everything is simplistic, and you have this reduction to the maximum, even though you have this big screen. This is again, you know, some contrast they play with. They have the huge screen, but on the other hand, it's still so simple. When you have all the controls set once, and then you know, just cruise, and have of course a good Google Maps GPS, which is better than any other GPS you can get, and they are developing. Sometimes you just have to get some supplier to get some special part, and they will always be better because they are more innovative, and they can also have smaller development spans and so on. So definitely one of those cars where you can say so many positive things about. And then of course there's something, you know, annoying here and there, because we have to remember the price, which is, you know, just under 100,000 for the entry model, then with a little bit less range. And then if you pick the top spec, you're about 150,000. And then of course you have to say nothing should be rattling, and suspension should be a little bit better. So yes, they have to work on some of those basic features, but the innovation is definitely there. And you know, some fields they really lag behind if you compare the competition, but in other areas they are really heading into the future and showing us actually what's possible, and no one has really matched that in this respect. So, and overall you can just say this is one of the most unique vehicles overall.